Velia. Happy Tuesday. It's a beautiful morning. So excited to be here. I am traveling. I am in the city of La Paz, and I'm hoping that the internet is just phenomenal this morning. So I don't have to worry about looking like I'm cutting off or like the Matrix. So I want to say hello to you. Happy full moon. It is March 7th, my 46th birthday. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys this morning sharing another important topic that's very near and dear to my heart. So I'm hoping that you guys will have an open mind as I share a little more about how we can simplify our lives, be a little happier, and show some gratitude. I know some people don't consider themselves ungrateful. And when I talk about gratitude, it's not about you being ungrateful, it's more about practicing more gratefulness in your life. So if you're already grateful, then guess what? You just get to add more of it in your life. And then once you do things like that, you'll find your life changing in many different areas. And that's what I'm super excited about and really love sharing with you guys these type of topics because they've simplified my life in such a way where I've created a pretty amazing life for myself. And it wasn't always the case. I did always wonder whether or not I was ever going to be happy and what I was doing in my life and that, whether or not I was going to like actually attain any goals that I had set for myself. So I want to simplify things for you guys because when you take it all into a big old chunk, it seems pretty impossible to ever attain these type of goals. But if you break them down into pieces, you'll see that things are a lot more attainable for you. So I want to start off with that today. We're going to be talking about the work environment today. So whether or not you are employed by somebody else, whether or not you work from home, whether or not you work for yourself, there's always things that we can do to better our work environment. And I find that this is a really complicated subject for a lot of people because I get that there's a lot of people that work and they don't love to do what they do. So I think that that's probably the biggest, you know, um, obstacle that we face is that a lot of people go to work, they spend many hours at work, and they're not really working in a field that they love, or maybe they loved it at one point and now they're kind of tired of it. It's not as exciting as it was in the beginning, or it just wasn't or isn't what you expect it to be. So I want you to kind of take a look at things as a whole, whether or not it's a temporary situation, whether or not you told yourself it was going to be temporary and it turned out to be long term. Let's go ahead and bring all that together. I was inspired about or for this topic today after hearing a couple of conversations yesterday. I am here for a week to enjoy my birthday, to just relax. The city is called the City of Peace, and I've never been here before, and it's beautiful. The waters are amazing. Everything's blue. People are super friendly, not really crowded, which is really nice. So it's given me a lot of time to think. But yesterday we were out to lunch, and you can hear people's conversations around me, and I'm not trying to eavesdrop. It just seems like some people talk louder than others, or whatever the case is, maybe. And I want to share this story because I know that at work there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of emotions that are being, hurt. There's a lot of things that some people feel like they're pretty much trapped. There's things that happen in your work environment that makes you feel like you're pretty much trapped. And I want to let you know that there's always something better for you. It doesn't matter if you've been there forever. It doesn't matter if you just started. I have people tell me all the time, I don't want my resume to look like I'm jumping all over the place. And they're so worried about what their resume looks like that they'll actually sit at a job for years and years and years just so it can look good and they have the experience to go on to the next job. And I get it. I'm all about you guys being responsible. I'm about you guys setting your goals. But I want you to kind of evaluate where you are right now. I want you to really think about where you are in life and how it is that you're feeling about where you are working. Again, whether it is at home, whether you're working for an employer, you actually go to work, or you work from home. Um, there are many times where we don't really think that we can have something better, like, oh, well, I got to make money, I got to pay my bills. And that, I think, kind of plays into the mentality of settling. And I want you to think about a couple of things as I'm talking today. And of course, always grab your notebook and pen because we are going to ask ourselves a couple of questions. And the goal, like always, you guys, is for you guys to reflect on your lives, where you are right now. I hear people say things like, oh, I just have 5 more years and I can just retire. Oh, I just have, and that to me seems eternal, right? Especially if people aren't really happy where they are. And I really do believe that there's things that we can adjust in our daily lives to make us a little happier while we're staying where we're staying. if not to start having the courage to look for somewhere else to work. Because I honestly do believe, and call me naive, right? I honestly do believe that we can all work and make money doing something that we love. I think that the biggest problem is that most people don't know what they want. And it brings us back to so many things that we talk about, right? Like the self love, self awareness, all these awakenings, things of that nature. When you really know who you are, you have an idea of what will fill your life. When you have no idea, you kind of just go through the motions. But I'm finding that a lot of people are waking up to their truth. They're waking up to the things that, are bringing them joy, and they're really trying to find something different. I've worked with a lot of people who've had professions forever, and they just weren't happy going to work anymore. So they started changing up the way they viewed work. Number one, that's something I always suggest first, is where do you see that you could be more grateful for where you are? Because what you see a lot of is people complaining. You can go to work and people complain about their paychecks, they complain about the workload, they complain about the environment, supervisors don't do anything, but very little times do you hear people actually doing something about their situation. So again, a lot of complaining, and I'm all for it. Sometimes, the work environments are not that great, but I always challenge people and I ask them what protocols are in place that you can pretty much voice your opinion, that you can file a grievance, that you can talk to other employees. Is there a union? Like, what can you do that would actually make changes instead of just kind of complain? Because what you do is go day in and day out, and you go to this job and all you're doing is complaining about where you're at. So the first thing I like to ask people all the time is saying, do you remember how excited you were when you first got your job? I want to bring it back to an emotion that you can relate to, that you can borrow from when you're feeling overwhelmed. Remember the interview process. What was that like? Did you enjoy the people that you work with at the time? How did you start working for this employer, right? What was it that you were excited about? What motivated you? And some people say something as simply, oh, it was the money. And so what happened? If you wouldn't have this job, what kind of life would you have right now? Because you obviously got this job because you wanted it, right? We need to bring you back to the emotions you felt when you were excited about obtaining this position and doing what you needed to do there. So that's number one, always working with what we have. How can we better our attitude? What kind of things can we do to appreciate this a little more? Whether it's the work environment and the policies and procedures that are in place, whether or not it's the finances and what you're doing with those finances. And I encourage people all the time to not be a slave to their employers or their paychecks, right? Living paycheck to paycheck. People tell me, well, I can't help it. That's just the money I make and everything's so expensive. I get it. But there's also things that we can do to help our budget, to not live above our means for now, to kind of adjust so you can move to an environment that you would like to be in, or something that you feel you can start on your own. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So there's plenty of options. My goal is to show you that you're not stuck. Maybe you've heard that, maybe you believe that, maybe somehow that's been true up until now, but there are so many things that you could do differently that would, literally change the way you're living your life, the way you're viewing it, and therefore manifesting the things that are coming into your life. Because if we're just kind of going to work upset, going through the motions, you'll find that your life becomes very redundant. And what we don't want is to live a life that we don't see, that we just kind of, fly through, because we don't get to see the little things that are happening in life. So whether or not, again, if it's a situation where you just don't like management, you don't like the leadership there, is there anything that you can do to help contribute to that leadership, to help maybe give ideas on how employees could be better, utilized, better served, better appreciated, right? Be creative with your energy. So instead of complaining about the way things are, do you have a better idea as to how things could be? Because as employees, many times, and myself included, I would kind of see how things are being ran and say, this doesn't even make sense. Why are we going around in circles? Why are we doing the same thing over and over again? But I was always one that kind of raised my hands, took notes, and made suggestions as to how things could be better. So I didn't last at employers for a very long time. And I remember for a long time, I thought something was wrong with me, because I started working at the age of 12. I would spend my summers in Mexico. My friends had to work. So I would go to work with them cleaning the onion fields. And that was so much fun. Then I found out how much they got paid after 2 weeks, and I was out of there. I was not waking up before the sun and doing all that labor work, all that work and making the money I was making. But I got to see from a very young age how hard people had to work and how they had to settle because there was nothing else. So a lot has changed since then. I've been introduced to many different things. I've seen different experiences, and I know that we're not stuck. Many of us are not stuck, but if we believe that we are, guess what? We will remain stuck. So, number one, policies, procedures. If you don't like the way management is doing things, what ideas do you have? If you don't know what they are and you need time to put them together, I'm going to encourage you to start writing things down. One, you can carry on a notebook and a pen and write things down, or on your phone. Many of us have a note app that you can pretty much start writing ideas. So I'm going to encourage you to spend your energy coming up with ideas. And I'm not saying right now, oh, they're not going to care. No, 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 no. Right now, it's all about you. I want you to sit down and start writing these things down on this app, this note app, because you are going to be exploring options for yourself. If you can look at a company from the outside in and think of all these suggestions, even if you never tell anybody, right now, for those of you that are thinking that this is going to happen, I want you to take the time to problem solve. I want you to sit down and literally write down the things that you know would be better if certain things were implemented or certain things were taken away or added. Okay. So your job right now is to kind of explore. You're going to assess the situation you're in, and you're going to write down different things that you would do if you were management or if you own the company. And that's going to keep you busy in positive energy instead of complaining. I know for some reason that once we are more productive, once we're more aligned with fixing things instead of complaining, abundance flows in different directions. It could be a raise, it could be money falling out of the sky. I mean, you name it, it's happened before. It's finding money that you tucked away that you didn't realize you had tucked away. I just know that when we're in this state of gratitude and actually trying to improve things, there's a whole different energy that comes in. So I wanted to use a work environment because it's always a very big topic for many people. And many people will spend more time at work or getting to work than they do at home. And this is why many have become bitter, because you have to drive to work, you have to be at work, then you got to drive back. And many people drive in traffic. And I get it, it's frustrating. Believe me, I'm the first one to scream when I have to be in traffic. But the goal is this, that the time you're away and you're actually going towards work or coming back, or you're there, I want you to figure out how to problem solve any things that are there. If this was your company, how would you run it? And I want you to spend time doing this. I promise you guys, it's going to shift you guys. So please spend some time doing that. Now, there was a situation yesterday when we went to dinner, and there was a young lady, and she was sitting behind us or on the side of us, and she was talking to the waiter, apparently a friend, about what had happened at work. Now, she was apparently a daycare worker. She was a preschool teacher, and she was complaining about how the company had let somebody in that was not qualified to do her job. So she was talking about how she felt very, what was her word she used? She said she felt like nobody cared about the kids' safety. How are you going to bring somebody in from out of the street who wasn't qualified? And she was talking and she started crying and got very emotional and she got pretty loud. That's how I heard the conversation. So the goal for her was to express how, she felt about this new employee coming in. But the more she talked, the underlining cause really came out, is that they didn't take her into consideration when they hired this person, that they pretty much passed her up. She had been there for a long time. They brought somebody in, and this person didn't go through the proper channels. So at the end of the day, yes, I'm sure she was concerned about the kids' safety, but it was more about how they did not consider her. And I know this happens a lot in the workplace. So again, I knew she cared about the kids, but the underlying cause was her own value and her own worth. And this is why I talk about these topics so much. Yes, I know you have to go to work and you have to go to school and you're a mom and you're a dad, and you have all these different titles and hats that you have to wear, but it all comes down to value and worth, and it shines in different areas in our life. So you'll see it in the workplace. You'll see it, in school. So even if it's a topic from work, if I dig in and I dig in with all my clients, there's always fundamental things that we have to address so they're a better everything in their life. And yes, we all have to go to work and make money and everything. But when you get down to the basis of the foundation of what it is that's truly being triggered, now you're more in control of the environment that you're in, how you view things, and the fact that you'll manifest differently once you're understanding that you're there to problem solve, regardless of the politics, regardless of the owner, regardless of the policies and procedures, because every company has them. So it's very easy for us to criticize employers or all that good stuff, but I want you guys to treat it as if you were the owner of this particular company. Okay. So I wanted so badly to go up to her and talk to her, but I'm like, mind your business, don't say anything. But it's just a reminder of how huge this is, right? Think about it. How many people do you know that go to work and are extremely grateful and happy to go to work? Right? How many do you know? We could probably count them on one hand. And that's pretty sad because honestly, my goal is for everybody to love going to work, for everybody to be happy, knowing they're making a difference in their world. And so if we shifted that perspective, I know that many things in life would change, even though we don't realize just how so by being one. And, I have people say all the time, well, I'm just one person. Well, what are they going to do? They're not going to listen to me. And, nobody else does it. Why should I do it? And that's when I get a little, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not comparing you to everybody else because I've had people, really good people in supervisor leadership positions or whatever. I said, well, you know what? The other supervisors don't do it. Why should I have to do it? And my answer to that is so you're not like them. Because if we're going to criticize about how somebody is, I want to ask you how you're adding fuel to that fire. If you're not being different than those people, then why are you there? Why are you complaining? Why are you not going through the policies and procedures? I had a client once ask for a raise after a whole bunch of healing work, right? Because she started understanding her worth. She had been there for a while. She hadn't gotten a raise. We kind of strategized with a whole bunch of stuff. And she ended up getting a $10 per hour raise. And she looked at me, she goes, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, why does it have to make sense in the physical world, right? Once you know your value and you understand those things, then what you know your worth, you ask for. And once you know you have open doors, you can just leave. In many companies, once you assert yourself, once they understand your value, once you've been the one that assessed and actually figured out how things can get better, when you're ready and you're ready to leave, you ask for what you need if you still want to stay there. And if you're supposed to stay there, it's going to happen. If not, you can have ways to move. So you're never stuck, you guys. You're never stuck. And I know that this has been programming. I know that this is, a little difficult for people to believe because you've been trained to believe these things. But there's a way to rewire your brain to understand differently. If you carry value, if you're a good employee, if you're doing what you need to do, you value yourself and you have worth and you're healing your wounds, right? Of those undeserving, memories or whatever. Your whole life changes. And if it's not the environment you're in now, I promise you that an environment will be open to you, but you have to get ready to receive that new environment. So we're going to ask a couple of questions, right? What are you doing in the workplace to change the things that you don't like? Because complaining is not going to do it. What are you doing? And write those things down. If you're not doing anything, guess what? Instead of complaining about your management or your employer, let's turn it around and say, what have I contributed to? What have I done to contribute to this negative or toxic environment? And as soon as you remove that, you guys, as soon as you become aware of it, guess what? All of a sudden, you're not contributing to that and it's more bearable for you. And little by little, gratitude is going to come in more. And this is just the way it works. It's just mathematics, you guys. This is just the way it works, and that's just the way the energy flows. Now, a lot of times, many people have not wanted to, like this particular client that was a supervisor. She's like, well, I'm not going to go through the trouble of writing these people up, and they don't even do anything about it. I said, okay, how does that make you different than the other leaders that you had complained about in the past? The fact that they wouldn't write people up, that they should have gotten rid of a long time ago, but everybody was too lazy, air quotes, to do the work. I said, it doesn't matter what anybody does with your work. It doesn't matter if you think it's not going to go anywhere. You do your work. Do what you're supposed to do. Lead by example. Make the write-ups happen, verbalize what you need to, write those emails. If nothing happens, guess what? It wasn't because you didn't do your part. And it's only a matter of time before you do what you know is right and document before things change. And take my word for it, that's how it works. Now, if you do everything you're supposed to do, and this employer for some reason doesn't change anything within a time frame, what goals are we going to set? Where are you going to go? Because why would you stay in an environment that you're going to complain about all the time after you've already done all these things, right? Notice what I say, because many people will leave a job and go to another one and they'll have the same thing happen to them again. Why? Because you didn't resolve the things that you should have resolved while you were there because you were given the opportunity. It happens in relationships. It happens in jobs. It happens in schooling. It happens everywhere. You're the common denominator. So if you haven't healed up the reasons why those things get manifested in your life, you can go to 5 different jobs and you'll have the same problem. How many of you guys can say that's the case right now? You're in a certain situation and you probably ran away from it a while back and you're in the same situation again. It's not surprising, you guys. Energy follows you. Your attitude, your intention, the way you approach life, everything comes back to you. If it's good, I'm going to ask you to set healthy boundaries. If you're a really good employee, you do everything everybody tells you and you don't complain or whatever, okay, we need to set healthier boundaries. Because if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, if you feel like you're working too hard and nobody appreciates it, it's time to verbalize some things. So it goes both ways, you guys. It's not just like, hey, be grateful, bow down and kiss everybody's butt. No, that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you to assess your situation and treat it like your own business and say, what would you do? What would you do differently? And you don't even have to verbalize it. Just write it down, you guys, and you'll see how things are going to change for you guys. When you're going to work and you're sitting in traffic, what can you do in traffic instead of complaining about the traffic or the same things you've been doing that have been giving you not the best results that you want to have? Is there an audiobook you can listen to? Is there motivational things that you can listen to? Is there a podcast that you can listen to? Change what you're doing every day to change the results you're getting. Because I have people that drive 1-2 hours a day to and from work, and all they're listening to is positive stuff now. Before they were complaining about this or listening to the news or the weather or listening to songs that probably weren't edifying their minds, right? And getting them ready to do what they have to do as far as on a positive note. So we get stuck in this redundancy. And this is where the word stuck is, because you're doing something different. But if you're listening to something empowering, something really motivational, something that's going to get you going, you tend to carry that out throughout the day. And even if you can't control the things around you guys, you control your inner environment. And that's what it's about. First, you control the inner environment, and then you can influence the external environment. Many people are doing it differently. They're doing it backwards. They're trying to influence their outside environment and not really focusing on their inner world. And that's where we make the mistakes, because nothing gets done that way. Nothing. Because you're telling people, or you want people to do things that you don't know how to do yourself. So how do you even lead if you don't even know what that looks like? Model the behavior for yourself. If you are self-employed and you're not happy with where your business is going and you want to blame everybody else because your business isn't thriving, I'm going to ask you what you're doing to pour into it. What were you so excited to start? Where's your motivation? What happened to all those goals and aspirations that you had? Are you still following protocol? Are you doing the same thing over and over again, not getting better results? There are things that you have to do in your business. You have to self-assess, and then you have to reintroduce things that are going to work. There has to be excitement about what you're doing. Even if you have to, whatever it is, sell products, you have to drive, not drive, you stay at home, if there's phone calls. If the coaching methods that you're going through right now, you guys, aren't working, it's because a lot of things are changing. For years, we've been taught to do like a masculine approach, right? When it comes to sales. Oh my gosh, hurry up and get these seats. They're selling out fast, whatever. Like, people don't like to be rushed to buy anything. People don't like it. People like things, they'll buy things from people they know, like, and trust. And there's a lot of modalities out there that'll teach you to kind of pressure people and, all this, get over promise and under deliver. Like, oh my gosh, that's so old. Everybody already knows that's played out. So I'm going to ask you to reassess what you're doing in your business. First of all, how do you feel about yourself? What can you bring to add value to people? How can you leave people feeling better about themselves after they see you, after they purchase your product, after they talk to you? What are you doing? What kind of treatment would you like? Don't be surprised if you're supposed to be doing what you would like people to do to you. So if you've invested in coaching, if you've invested in any programs or whatever, and they just don't align, because I have done that before. I don't like salesy stuff. I don't like it. So in my business, it's all heart-based. What would I like? What am I passionate about? What do I want to do for these people? How would I want my life to be? What things did I do? What things worked? What things didn't work? Who did I call? What type of skills do I need? What type of training do I need? How do I position myself to present myself in a way that I'm proud of? And so these are the questions you have to ask yourself. Whether or not you're self-employed, whether or not you work for another employer, you guys, it's not about other people. It's never about other people. If you are in a sales team and you depend on somebody else to do, what are you doing to pour into those people so you guys can work for each other, with each other, and through each other? People don't teach you that. It's always about who's going to get the trophy, the recognition, the plaque, who's going to make more money, who's going to show off, whatever. All that's dying. We need to be more heart-centered. We need to love what we do. We need to really create this inner environment that's going to make you thrive, you guys. And maybe you can't see it right away because you haven't had it modeled to you. But let me tell you, this is the way to get the things that you need in your heart's desire. This is the way to do it, you guys. Because these are the visions that we have. And maybe we don't know the how-tos. That's why we look out for mentorship and for people to help us, people that have already been there. But it has to be something and someone that aligns with you. You just can't go and enroll into any, rinky-dink program just because they're promising you all these things. Are you willing to do all the work, right? And let me tell you right now, the work isn't even all that hard. The way it used to be is that they would all work hard, work hard. You don't have to work hard anymore. You have to work intentionally. You have to work with intention, with heart, with gratefulness. And that's when things start turning around for you. But if you're bitter and complaining and you're ungrateful and you're going to work because it's a chore and there's no more love, why would you expect to get anything else in return than exactly what you're putting into it? Right? And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, dedicate all this time and a week later, your dreams are going to come true. No, but they're going to start. They're going to start manifesting. You're going to start getting an idea of what it looks like. And isn't that what we all want? Like, it's like this draft paper. We have all these booklets and nobody even bothered to draft in them because we're so busy scribbling in everybody else's paper. Why? Because it keeps us distracted from handling our own business. So if you sit with yourself and you don't like what you're doing anymore, what can you envision yourself doing? Don't blame the bosses. Don't blame the job. You're there. Why are you there if you're so unhappy? Ask yourself that question. What would you rather be doing? What skills do you need? When was the last time you updated your resume? When was the last time you looked for a job? Here's the kicker. Some of us are so uncomfortable or so comfortable in our uncomfortableness that we'll sit there and complain and won't do a damn thing about changing our situation. That's on us. That's not on the employer. That's not on your coworkers. That's not on your paycheck. It's on you. So if you don't like what you're doing, let somebody else have your job. And I want to take it as far as, what would you do if you didn't have your job tomorrow? Because nothing is guaranteed. Would you have felt like, well, I enjoyed it while I had? A lot of you would freak out. So we take things for granted. Find out where you're taking things for granted, you guys. If you do all these steps, if you write these things down, if you really sit down and you start being more intentional about what you're doing in your life, the words that you're speaking, the things that you're thinking, and the behaviors you're actually engaging in, it'll really come full circle for you. But you have to look at you, your habits, your thoughts. You have to look at those things. Say, what can I do to be different? What would I do if this job was taken away from me? And I don't want to send out any, bad juju. No one's going to lose their job because I said that, right? If you want to start blaming, that's where you would start. But what I'm saying is this, that we've become so accustomed to hearing everybody else complain that we're all just jumping on that bandwagon. And I want to encourage you to start a whole new one of gratefulness, one of intention, one of structuring your ideas, one of really thinking down and writing down ways that you can help improve this company, your business. Sit with other people. It's so important, you guys, to hang out with the people that are not going to also complain all the time. You need to find people who are grateful, not the pushovers, not the one everybody takes advantage of. No. Don't get it twisted, right? There are people who are living their best life. There are those of us who are striving every day to make a better life for ourselves. And just because we're trying, you guys, it's actually happening. There's times where I'll just have an idea, and I'll write it down and something will happen the next day. I haven't even put it all together yet. I went to bed last night designing something. I had talked to a friend. I woke up this morning, hey, you know what? I got a one-on-one for you for this particular program. I'm like, but we haven't even put it together yet. Exactly. And so even though it happens all the time, it still kind of surprises me on how fast it works because there's an intention. I'll write things down. And I was even taking like a picture yesterday for a flyer for a program we're going to start in April. And a friend right away emails me and she texts me and lets me know, hey, something's already been, sold for that particular program. And I'm like, wow. And I'm not telling you guys this because it's something to just say. I'm telling you because it works. And I'm telling you guys to do these things because they work. This is free advice. It works. Think about what you want. Stop complaining to people who are going to add fuel to the fire, because you get all these complainers together. They go, they party, they drink, they complain about whatever. And they're back at work on Monday morning doing the same thing over and over again. And they're miserable. But what would you do if you didn't have that job to go to on Monday? Why can't you guys get together and problem solve? Why can't you think about how to make it a better work environment? Who cares how much you're getting paid? Who cares? That changes. I've had people get raises all the time while working with me. And I tell you guys, it's not me. It's how they understand their value and worth, healthy boundaries and attitude. Everything changes once you focus on your inner world. Everything changes. And if you don't have friends that you can sit there and talk to about these things, then you need to start looking for different friends. You need to start looking for people who are more aligned with what you want to do. I feel bad for my friends. Okay, feel bad for them and stay there. Or you can invite them to come along. You can always invite people to come along and make positive changes. Oh my gosh, what a concept. But it's up to them whether or not they want to do the work. And it's up to you whether or not you want to continue living your life the way you're living it. If you want to stay the same, go for it. You can always stay the same. I'm talking to those people who are really figuring out how to get unstuck. And this is a way to do it, you guys. Simple steps, super effective, strategic moves that you can make. And it's all about gratitude. It's all about your attitude. It's all about wanting to fix things instead of complaining about how they are. Because if complaining worked, you guys, your situation would have changed a long time ago. It doesn't work. It feels good for 2 minutes, for 5 minutes, for the time you're complaining with somebody else because your ego gets all blown up. What does that do for you when you wake up the next morning? Nothing. So how about you start changing up the way you look at things? I want to ask you guys what your goals are. If you're at this job and you weren't planning on being there forever and you can't see it working, what can you do in the next month, in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months that can get you out of there? Is there a class you have to take? Is there a training or a certification program that you have to go through? Are there phone calls you have to make? Is it just a matter of updating your resume? Why haven't you done it? Do it now. If you're done and you've done everything you could in that place, move. Go somewhere. If you're tired of driving to work, look for remote positions. You can Google all day long and find out whether or not they're credible positions. If you want to work from home, there's so many remote jobs, you guys. So many things that you can do. Instacart. People make a lot of money. Instacart, DoorDash. I mean, you name it. There's so many things. You need extra money. You don't have to break your back. There's so many things that you could do. So what would be your goals? I want to be out of here in 6 months. I want to be out of here in 3 months. How am I going to set myself up so I can pay down some debt, right? So I can pay for this class. What financial things can I do to make sure I have the money to pay for this certification? What can I do? Strategize. Don't sit there and complain. It doesn't do a damn thing for you, me, or anybody else. It doesn't do anything. But probably dig a bigger hole for you. You're going to have to get out of it eventually if you're really serious about it. So don't make it harder for yourself. There are things that you can do. This girl that was crying yesterday, I really wanted to go up to her and ask her why she hasn't started her own business as a daycare provider yet. There's a lot of funding, even here in Mexico. There's a lot of things that one can do, but nobody looks because your world is so small. You've created a small world for yourself, either the way you were brought up or who you hang out with. But if she's serious about how things are ran and if they don't appreciate her and she's been doing this for so long, start your own business. There's so much support out there, you guys. You don't know because you haven't looked. But if there's something you've been wanting to do, start finding out how you can go about doing it. What steps, what communication, what skills, what training. You need help, filling out your resume? Who can help you with that? There's websites for that all day long. There are people out there who are ready to help you. You have to figure out what kind of help that you need. That's what you need to do. What kind of help do you need? Where do you envision yourself? How much money do you want to make? What days do you want to work? How many hours do you want to work? Just the same when we design our own relationship with self and others, you guys, it's the same thing with your work environment. It's the same thing. And really think about it. When you want to complain about it, where would you be without your job right now? It makes you sad to think about it. And I encourage you guys to think about that because it in turn helps you become more grateful for where you are right now. Even if it's temporary, you guys, it's gotten you to where you are right now. you might need it a little bit longer. So why not have a better attitude while you're there trying to figure out where else to go? I don't care if you have a crappy boss. We've all had them. I don't care if you're feeling underappreciated right now, because you need to appreciate yourself before anybody else can. They take advantage of me. I'm undervalued. Teach them how to treat you differently. If somebody takes advantage of you, it's probably because you've showed them how to do that. So what can you do to reinforce who you are, to add to your value, to empower yourself, to add healthy boundaries to your life? They're your employers. But if you're a good employee, they're going to take care of you. If not, you're going to start taking care of yourself, but you're going to show them what that looks like. You will be modeling those behaviors for them. I'm so excited to introduce a new program. I launched it last night, I believe. I wanted to launch it before my birthday today. It's a mentorship with me. Some people can't come in for individual one-on-one sessions, but I'm bringing out different ways that you can work with me, and I'm so excited to share what those are. There are Voxer is an app that you can actually voice me on. So say, for example, you have a question and you're kind of stuck and you want to kind of make sure you're making the right decision. I can help you tap into your energy and find out those things. So it's a Voxer coaching mentorship with me, and I would just be a message away. We can send pictures, we can send things of that nature, whatever, but it's, coaching or mentorship on time, real time. And it could be something simple, a question, it could be some situation you're in, it could be, a follow-up question you had from a meeting or whatever. There's so many things that we can do together. So look out for that flyer. I think it's all on the social medias. There's a lot of nuts in here today. You can reach me at velia@coachvelia.com. My phone number is also here on the screen. If you have any questions, you can always email me. Look on my website. There's going to be new offerings as well. There's so many fun things happening here. Gosh, we have a book club. We're finishing up a book called The Body Keeps the Score. It's more of a textbook, but it does kind of, it helps you understand why it is that we do what we do and why we perform the way that we do. And we were going to be starting, Genesis and I, Genesis is my amazing assistant. We are going to be teaching a class on the body code starting in April. It's going to be a 4-week class. And in there, we're going to show you how to heal yourself using the body code. So we're going to be reading the book together. There's also going to be training. We're going to use the software to teach you how to heal up any trapped emotions. And this is something I do with my clients, you guys. I teach them how to find out why they do what they do, why they feel like they're stuck, why they stay undervalued, why they don't work on their worth. There's so many reasons why, but many of them are subconscious. So it's very important for you to understand why you do what you do, but to get the level of support that you need, because sometimes it's a little difficult to do it by yourself. We lack the motivation, we lack direction, but if you have somebody come alongside of you, then they're going to help gear you in the right direction, and yes, we're going to hold you accountable. It's your work, but you're going to have the support that you need to get that thing done. Always here for you. Love you guys so much. Don't forget, it is a full moon today. I think it peaked like at 7 or 8 o'clock this morning. So many amazing things coming in March, you guys. There's a lot of astrological things happening. Get it together. And I want to talk about in work environments today, because I know that those are something that you guys are really, really looking at to change. I think now more than ever, a lot of people are looking to switching their careers, their jobs. They're looking for new opportunities. You guys, there is so much. And, there's a quote that says the sky's the limit, but the truth is your belief system is a limit. So if you are finding yourself limited by the belief systems that you carry, thinking that you can't have anything better, it's time for you to heal up some of those wounds and create the life you truly, truly deserve. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Have an amazing day. We'll see you guys on Thursday.